Today's video is about a XXL Pro case we're doing for Wild Mango Films. Video is how we black ops our chargers. Today we're doing a 406 Duo. Actually, we're doing 406 Duos. We're doing these for a XXL Pro case. Now we take everything out, we keep the one bag so we can put all the parts in it. And we just unwrap everything and get everything prepped and ready to go. Now there are 5 screws on the bottom of the charger. We want to remove all 5 screws, but we do not take them out of the housing. We just pick the housing straight up, put it right in the box. Keep everything in the box. Then there's 2 secondary screws that hold the board into the top part of the housing. I always use a little pair of needle nose so I don't drop the screws down on the inside. And yes, I've done it a dozen times. So now you're going to want to lift the board and the heatsink out gently because there is a ribbon cable that goes up to the controls. So all we're going to do is we're going to push that slide back, and then we'll be able to gently just caress that ribbon cable out. Now the ribbon cable, I'll take it out from the other side and I'll show you why I do this. But right now there's no ribbon cable inside this housing. Then we have to take the secondary ribbon cable off that goes up to the LCD screen. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just unclip it and then slide it out and let it hang. Then there is 6 screws that hold the control board in. Once we remove those and save the screws, the control board will come right out. Then we'll be able to get the knob and the buttons off so we can dye those also. Now we've done well over 100 chargers that we black ops, so we've got a pretty good system on the way we do it. And we do keep everything in the bag and everything in the box. That way nothing gets damaged. If you leave one screw laying on your table and you throw your LCD screen on it, you can gouge the protector. It's very easy to keep organized, and it's highly advised to keep organized. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the seam and we're gonna separate the front and the back of the LCD housing. And then once we get that, we can pull that out and we just lay that right on top. And these are the parts that we're going to be dyeing here. So with the screen up, you can push the hinge pins back, then you can take the screen off. And now we've got all the parts that we're wanting to dye. So once again, police all your little parts, keep everything in the bag, goes in the box. Now, when you're dyeing, when we're spray dyeing the front of the LCD screen, sometimes we've gotten overspray on the back. Don't worry, a little bit of alcohol will clean it right off. Now we just put blue painter's tape on there, and it doesn't damage the LCD. It doesn't leave any glue residue. And we just clean it up and we get ready to go. Now, the front of the screen and the front of the button controller both have, you know, the clear laminate that you peel off your phone when you get a brand new phone, you know, the protective vinyl. That is on this screen and that is on the buttons. Now we have to remove this after we spray the dye on because this is almost like a mask right from the factory. Now if this is a used or a pre-owned charger and that mask isn't on there, then we got to put the blue tape on there and then trim everything very tight. So now we've got everything prepped and ready to go for our 4 chargers. Everything is clean. And now that we've got everything dyed, we're going to be able to start putting everything back together. Now it is reverse order, just like you took it apart, but it can be very, very tough to get these things back together. Take your time. Do not, under any circumstance, force anything. I've seen, we've had some people send us chargers that they took apart and they could not get back together. And we've gotten them and stuff has been damaged and we know why it was damaged. So once you start getting the hinge pins lined, they'll slide right into the housing. Now just you see me flexing just a little bit. Everything has a spot, everything goes in Do not force it. And you'll see through this whole video, we keep a very clean, lint-free towel. And like when we're cleaning an LCD here, we just wipe everything off. Everything's been in the shop for a day now that we've dyed the housings and we're putting it back together. Keep everything clean. That's the last thing you want to do, is put your charger back together and have a big old greasy fingerprint stuck in the middle. Now getting these pieces in, there's a couple little pins inside here that go right into the board. And here's the one on the right, and then there's one over here on the left. Those two little pins drop right through that board, and once they go in, everything, you'll hear it all click together. Then you're going to just put the screws back together, and that keeps the housing together. Then feed the ribbon cable through the bottom. Once again, you do not want to bend that over. You do not want to damage the ribbon cable. We fold the screen down, and now we start putting the buttons in. The buttons got dyed the same color as the housing. Now we'll put the control panel back in. Now we start all the screws. We do not tighten them up until all the screws are in. Anybody that's a mechanic, it's just like putting a head on a car, or it's like putting a frame together on a helicopter. Get all your screws in, get it sitting there and get it all square, and then tighten it down. If you try to put these in and you tighten one down, I guarantee you're going to have issues. And I tighten it down just like a drum, you know, opposing screws go around. You're putting metal screws into plastic. You do not have to torque them down like you're trying to put in a big bolt. There's a little pad that's in front of the ribbon cable retainer or socket or whatever you would call it. Somebody's probably going to email me and let me know what the proper name of this is. And you see I just got a little bit of pressure on that ribbon cable, pushing it in. I'm going to push that clasp shut. Everything turns, everything touches, nothing binds. You're good to go to the next step. Now I leave the ribbon cable in the upper piece when I pull it out, only for storage reasons. Now I'm going to pull this cable out, and then I'm going to put it into the top. And there's a little hinge that just flips right up. And now slide it in and watch. Wiggle it just a little bit. And you get everything nice and seated. You'll feel it. When it's in the socket, it's perfect. Now, big fingers like me is a little bit tough to get this done, but all you do is get that bottom ribbon cable in, connect it, and then it's just lining everything up. There are grooves in the housing for everything to slide into. Everything lines up. There's even a groove that holds the board on one side, and then the USB connection on the other side. And just line everything up, and then all of a sudden everything will sit. Once again, do not force anything. Once the screws line up, put them in. Do not have to over torque. I know I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but this is what we get complaints and questions about from everybody. So then once we've got that done, we're going to peel the protective coating off the LCD screen. And then I go ahead and I plug it into a 6S LiPo, and I just once again verify, make sure the screen all lights up. If you don't have all the ribbon cables seated right, make sure all your controls work right, including pushing down on the button. So once you get confirmation everything works, I go ahead and I put the bottom on. I pick the bottom straight up and put it straight down. Remember, the 5 screws are still in there. I never took them out. I don't have to drop them back in. Once again, tighten center, then all 4 corners. Do not over tighten, please. Put the button on, and then you can peel the mask off of around the buttons. You're taking it off the label on the buttons. This is very tough and it's very aggravating, but if you take your time, it's simple. Does that make sense? If you do one, you'll know how to do them from now on. Now, we have gotten very fast because we've done so many of these, but this looks 1,000 times better than this.